Coming to you live from Ursprung Gymnasium. Welcome to OAC men's basketball. Today it's the Yellow Jackets from Baldwin Wallace against the Wilmington Fighting Quakers on BWYellowJackets.com. Glad to have you on board, everybody. After game one this afternoon, on the ladies' side went BW's way, 61-30. Time for the men to take the floor, and we'll resume our coverage here at BW. If you've just joined us for the first time today, I'm Brendan Gulick along with Luke Schradel. Luke, this is a Yellow Jacket team that's coming off of an emotional and lopsided victory over their crosstown rivals. They pummeled John Carroll this week, 101-64 in their midweek game. Jackets have won 4 straight, 5 of their last 6, 10-4 on the year with a 5-2 record in OAC play. And I think this is a team that looks like they keep getting a little bit better now as the season's progressing.
Yeah, you're right. That John Carroll win really set the tone for the rest of their season, and they've been playing well at home.
On the Wilmington side, we'll give you the starting lineups here in just a second. On the Wilmington side, not quite the same level of success. They're 4-11 and just 2-7 in conference play. They have not won a game away from home on a true away game this year. They've won a couple of neutral court games, but 0-5 in true visiting contests. And I know they want to get a little retribution after the Yellow Jackets took it to them earlier this season.
Yeah, the Jackets went down early in that game. They had to come back in the second half to pull out a win there. But this Wilmington offense really has struggled as of late. Even though they shot 52% from the field in their win against John Carroll, they're the worst offense in the OAC, and they're bottom 25% in the nation in terms of scoring per game. And they're also one of the worst rebounding margin teams in the NCAA, 320th in that category and worst in the OAC.
This is Jeffrey Mansfield, a senior guard from Wilmington that misses on the layup. Wilmington native playing for the Quakers. Mansfield, Grant Mihalik, Andrew Clark, Travis Mitchell, and Noah Dado starting lineup for the men in green. Anthony Mazzio scores there to get us rolling for the Jackets. He's out there with Jake Snyder, senior guard Shane Zalba, Drew Wennis, and Christian Pfeiffer.
Mansfield clearly the leader for these Quakers, 2-time first-team All-OAC, and he's posted 2 17-plus points per game seasons in his career at Wilmington.
Leads the team this year just about 16 points per game. He's been pretty consistent throughout his time as a Quaker, as that shot goes up and through. Tied at 2 here. First bucket for Noah Dado. Expect to see Casey Hunt's teams play with the same kind of style. They rely on their athleticism. They tend to pick you up in the backcourt. This is a Wilmington program that over the years has experienced some pretty high-level success. Casey Hunt's group, the 2010 and 2014 OAC champions. They won the regular season league title more recently in 2018-2019. He is in his 15th year as the head coach down in Southern Ohio. Dado, the jump shot, it's good. Casey Hunt played his college basketball at Wichita State, and he's actually an Ohio State alum. Lives in Columbus and commutes to Wilmington to coach the Quakers. He's had some pretty darn good players over the years. That 2014 team led by All-American Malcolm Hurd, a guy that just wrecked everybody that played against him. He was one of the better big men this conference has seen over the last 20 years. Pretty impressive group. 4-2 Wilmington. Dado posting up against Wennis, sophomore from Huron. Kicked out to the side now. What's Mitchell want to do? Beg your pardon, that's Mansfield. Cutting into the key and scores. Mitchell was posted up on the right-hand side. Mansfield just glided his way into the key and made it happen.
That's really what he likes to do. He likes to get to the cup. Doesn't like to shoot it from downtown. 24% shooting from there on the season.
Wilmington does have a couple of other players on this roster that are no longer on the roster that had averaged double digits in the games they played. Bilal Sow and Obed Ashrem We're averaging combined almost 22 points per game, but neither of those two players are on the roster moving forward.
Yeah, I had so scouted at 6'5", 240, 11.5 points per game. He would have been their other capable scorer, a great second option, but obviously shorthanded tonight. They lose a couple of guys, and you kind of have to find a different mantra for your team when you lose two guys in the locker room, and they certainly did it against John Carroll, beating them.
Dado, the power dribble, he bobbled it, but kept it in bounds. Mansfield lobs to the corner. Jeffrey's easy to spot because he's probably the only guy I've seen all season on the men's side wearing purple sneakers. But he's got the game to back it up. Misfired on that three. Dado a second chance, and he scores. Good start for Wilmington on the road here. 8-2, 6 of them for Dado. Yellow Jacket head coach Tom Heil, hands on his hips. I don't think he's happy with the rebounding effort so far. The Jackets are getting creamed underneath.
And that just hurts even more when you know that this team is just really not great at rebounding the basketball.
Mitchell blocked it, stayed in bounds. Here come the Quakers. Bryce Bird, who came on, gives to Dado. Into the corner. Mihalik, not quite.
Nice job by Snyder to get a hand up in the corner. That wasn't an easy corner three.
Yellow Jackets the first time around with a 78-66 win down in Wilmington.
I think that game also started out 8-2.
Well, Shane Zalba puts it up and in. Tom Heil in his 7th year as the head coach at BW. He's had a good bit of success of his own, and he's certainly played well against Wilmington as Casey Hunt calls the 32nd timeout. We'll keep it here for a moment. Tom Heil 9-3 all-time against Wilmington. As a program, the Jackets are 30-20 against the Quakers. In the first 3 years that Coach Heil led this program, the 15-16, 16-17, and 17-18 seasons, they beat Wilmington 6 consecutive times before losing both games in the regular season in that 2018-2019 campaign. Of course, that was the beginning of BW's great postseason run. They went to Wilmington and won in the OAC quarterfinals. Then they went to Capital, won in the semis, made their way to Alliance, beat Mount Union in the tournament title game, and the Jackets won their first OAC championship that year in 13 seasons. They had not won since 2006. It was extra sweet because they had lost the tournament championship a couple years prior down at Marietta. And then in 2019-2020, the last season looked normal. These two teams each won on their home floor. They did not play last year against each other in that COVID-shortened schedule. And of course, the Jackets took the first one this year, so that's your series history, at least recently, between the two sides. Mazzio lost control of it. There was a foul. A couple new faces into the game, including Lucas Doty, the freshman from South Lyon, Michigan, who just committed that foul. Jaden Lewis, sophomore from New Albany in Greater Columbus, is in there. Gavin Heimlich, the freshman from Plain City, Ohio, Jonathan Alder High School. He's checked on 2. The Jackets, this is Luke Driscoll, Jackson Simmons, William Wallace. I beg your pardon. For the Yellow Jackets in the corner, it's Ashton Price as the three goes up and good. And William Wallace on my mind from the last game that BW played here at home on Wednesday. I guess Ashton and William look somewhat similar. Maybe I'm digging my own grave here.
Well, it's good to see Mazzio make his first 3. He started out last night missing a couple of them, went 1 of 5 in the game, makes his first here.
Good effort there from Drew Wennis, but not enough to prevent Wilmington from taking a shot. After the miss, here come the Jackets. Wennis in transition, right to the can. Good find. And BW takes a 9-8 lead.
Great back-to-back possessions for Wennis. He was inside, unfortunately gave up a rebound, but he really did a nice job of not fouling, keeping his hands straight up, and then ran the floor for a nice layup.
7-0 run for BW to take their first lead. Both teams have gotten off to a decent start offensively.
And that run started out of the timeout.
Sure did.
They turned it over out of the timeout and then fouled quickly. Really got to question that timeout. It's something you can't really do. You're up 8-2. You feel the momentum on the road, and you call a timeout and turn it over, start to lose that.
Must have wanted to get the new faces on the floor. Whatever the case is, Simmons going to work. Love his physicality. He's not the biggest guy in terms of how he's going to match up against true big post players. He's only 6'4", but he'll bang around with guys that are 6'6", 6'7", no problem. Simmons is fearless.
Coach Heil in the postgame on Wednesday talking about how he just has the best hands. Whenever that ball is falling off the rim, he's going to go grab it with 2 hands and come down with it. He's a sure-handed guy.
Bryce Bird hit that last bucket. Jackets lead at 11-10. Wennis, high arcing floater, no. Here comes Doty. Waiting for some help. Mansfield, good find and an easy finish. Really good pass. Heimlich scores. 12-11 Wilmington.
Great fake. Fakes the aggressive take to the rim and drops it off slowly to his teammate.
It's a blocking foul there, but the coaching staff from Wilmington loves the way they're defending, including associate head coach Micah Mills, who's one of the more lively characters across the conference. I had a chance to meet Micah a couple of times. I love his style, his energy. He's a good dude. And Wilmington's lucky to have him. They lead 12-11. There's a tough little drive there from Dado. And they took the Jackets right to the basket. Rob Watson couldn't stop him.
Dado trying to find himself. Currently Wilmington's active season leader in rebounds. Only scores 5 points per game, though. I think he's trying to work on his offensive game in the screen and roll and kind of finding some easy buckets early.
Looking around the OAC, Otterbein and Capital play tonight at 7 o'clock. I guess any team on any given day, right? John Carroll has had no problem today. They're 10 of 15 from the floor against Muskingum to start the game and blasting the Muskies at home 26-14. Mount Union and Heidelberg haven't quite started yet. Marietta is at Ohio Northern. That game will start momentarily as well. The women's games there went a little bit long. Luke Driscoll just missed the front of the rim. Driscoll steals it back. Gets some help on the back door. Snyder finished it off. Well done, not giving up on the play.
Unreal. I mean, he turned his head and kind of saw the ball flying out of the corner of his left eye and just poked it away.
BW averaging just under 80 per night, but obviously coming off of one of their better offensive performances in the last couple of years, and that 101-point performance. Driscoll, high floater up and good for a moment. I thought he might be throwing an alley-oop to Watson. Then Rob didn't jump. Thankfully, it went right through the middle of the cylinder.
He got a couple of Quakers on that fake.
15-14. 3 fresh bodies for Wilmington. Lewis, Doty, and Bird all out. Mahalik, Clark, and Mitchell returning. So they're starting 5 back on the floor. Price, oh, good ball fake. Drove on the baseline, but didn't finish it. Simmons grabs the miss. Really good effort there from Wilmington, but couldn't find a basket out of it. Price buries it. First basket of the day for Ashton Price. And a travel on the Quakers.
Price had a good game on Wednesday. Felt like he made some progress to where he wants to be as a player. He's not exactly at his full potential yet as a young freshman, kind of starting to find his jump shot. Love to see him hit an early three.
Driscoll fouled in the act of shooting. How much fun is the OAC this year? Marietta right now ranked number 6 in the country. They're 13-2 overall, 8-0 in conference play. Pioneers have a good test with Ohio Northern today. I know the Polar Bears haven't had a great season, but anytime you go to Ada, you better bring it, because for whatever reason, that seems to be the kryptonite. That trip to Ada is as difficult as any in the conference for every team around this league. We'll see if Marietta can hang on against Ohio Northern this afternoon. Heidelberg and Mount Union are both top 25 programs. They're both 12-2 on the season. Then you've got BW right behind them in the league at 10-4 overall, 5-2 in conference play. Otterbein is 11-4. You got some really high-quality basketball that's being played in the top half of the league this year.
Yeah, BW's played against each and every single one of the measuring sticks in the league, except for Mountain Union. That game got canceled. I would love to see that matchup.
Well, it won't be long before the Jackets are going to get really tested down the stretch here. After today, their next 3 games are against those 3 teams. At Heidelberg, at Marietta, home against Mount. Rob Watson fouled.
Yeah, you're sure going to find out how you stack up in that type of stretch. But Coach Isle said it all year. He knows that they're playing a tough schedule, and there's a reason they play a tough schedule, because you don't get any better playing against bad teams. And in this conference, there really isn't maybe 3 or 4 bad teams maybe. There's maybe 1 or 2.
Well, and consider, and I guess before I make that point, you know, even the teams that are quote-unquote not having good years, you know, the bottom half of the OAC, Capital's 3-5 in the league, but they're over 500. You know, John Carroll obviously is having a pretty substandard year by their own impression, but they're still a game under 500, and they've gotten off to a great start today. Ohio Northern 1-6 in conference play. They're 7-7 overall, and they've been hammered by COVID this year. Really, the only teams that, you know, record-wise have been poor this year are Wilmington and Muskingum. But Wilmington right now, if the OAC tournament started today, they'd be in. So you just never know how the things are going to go. And when you got a guy like Jeffrey Mansfield, you like your chances most nights. Price with a blocking foul is going to the free throw line. Anyways, I was going to reference the games that the Yellow Jackets have lost. And obviously a couple of those came against, you know, really good teams. Trine was 7th in the country when the Jackets were nipped by the Trine Thunder by a couple points. It was a 2-point loss. Now, as the season's gone along, as Price misfires there, Trine has come back to the pack a little bit. They're 10-6, but still, I think they're a really high-quality team out of the MIAA. Heidelberg and Marietta, obviously, you know, we referenced how well they've been playing. And the Jackets lost to Wartburg down in Fort Lauderdale area. Wartburg's having a great year out of the American Rivers Conference. They're 14-3, and while Wartburg right now is not nationally ranked, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a little headlines here down the stretch of their conference schedule.
Yeah, Wartburg was ranked in the preseason. Dubuque was ranked in the preseason, and BW beat them by 11 in Fort Lauderdale. And, you know, they put together a bunch of quality wins, and I just wish they would have come out with that Marietta one. They were right there, and Marietta closed the door in that 4th quarter, but we saw how vulnerable Marietta was in that game. And turning that to the OAC tournament, anybody can beat that team. And if Marietta continues their record, you think they would be in as an at-large if they don't win the OAC tournament. You gotta find a way to get your best basketball in line at the end of the season for this OAC tournament, because I believe this BW team can be anybody. It's just how they show up.
I'm interested to see when we get here now in just another week or two, we start looking at what the regional rankings are going to look like, you know, where the OAC teams stack up in that mix, because I can't imagine that Marietta is going to be something other than number one unless they lose more than once between now and then. Marietta's, I think, pretty clearly the top team in the Great Lakes region right now, but you've got some other pretty solid teams. And then, you know, you look at some of the other conferences, Ohio Wesleyan and Worcester and Wittenberg aren't quite this year what they typically are. You might see Mount Union and Heidelberg both ranked top 5 in the region, and obviously that would be really helpful for a multi-bid, league this year. If you're not familiar, and hopefully you are by now because this gets talked about a lot, but in case you don't know how the NCAA tournament selection process works, as we get some subs with the Jackets up 6. Obviously, if you win your conference tournament, you get a automatic berth into the NCAA tournament, but the at-large bids basically come from the regional rankings, and you get the top-ranked team in each region discussed at the same time by the National Selection Committee, and they pick which of the teams from those, those regions, of which there are 10 now, which of the teams from the 10 regions, which one team deserves out of this group. Okay, let's take this one team, then everybody in that one region moves up, and it's that one team with the other 9 that were previously discussed. Now those teams are all part of the same discussion, and you work your way till you fill out the bracket. So you certainly want to be highly regionally ranked, as Anthony Mazzio puts one off the window for 2. You want to be regionally ranked pretty high, and that's where some of the bid stealing comes into play. If a team that was not projected to win their conference tournament wins, maybe you steal a bid from somebody that thinks they're going to get an at-large bid because only one of Marietta, Mount Union, and Heidelberg are going to get an automatic berth if they win the tournament, right? The other 2 would be hoping to make their way into the tournament at large, or maybe all 3 if somebody else wins the OAC. You just never know how it's going to go. I'll tell you right now, when the Yellow Jackets went into the 2019 OAC tournament, they were not favored to win. They won 3 road games to win the conference championship, and that started down at Wilmington that year. All right, back to business in front of us, 24-16. Pfeiffer, Albert. Oh, good combination there. Sampson commits the offensive foul, though. Bryce Bird drew it nicely.
Just a little bit too aggressive by Albert. He at the last second kind of gave a charge with that left shoulder, and that's what got called. One thing about this Wilmington offense, worst three-point shooting percentage in the conference, worst peer shooting percentage from the field in the conference, 40% and 31% respectively.
Lewis misses a wide open 3. That's frustrating. Jackets lead by 8 at the moment. Remember, this was 8-2 Wilmington to start. Now it's 24-16 BW.
And that's coming from silly Wilmington turnovers. They really had that lead, and they were solidifying themselves until that timeout. And they had back-to-back offensive possessions with a turnover. They have around a -1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Really not something you want to see.
Nice finish there at the rim by Mansfield, who was a little slow to get up. We get a timeout on the floor. Well, there was certainly a pretty frustrated Wilmington ladies team earlier today. They finished their game with 17 turnovers and just 2 assists. That's not good for that ratio. Jackets earlier today won 61-30. We'll quickly step aside here. It's 24-18 BW late in the first half. Rolling along on a Saturday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying our live streaming coverage at BW. We're certainly glad to have you on board with us. Jackets lead 24-18. Zalba, Mazzio, Albert, Pfeiffer, and Wennis, the 5 for BW as they break that full-court zone press. Wennis, the 3-ball in the corner is good. Nicely done by Drew Wennis, who had a really good game on Wednesday, and he's off to another nice start this afternoon. Tough drive to the can and good finish, Lucas Doty. There have been a few moments where this game has felt a little frantic. Mazzio dribbles through it, throws it up to Pfeiffer, a two-hand flush.
It's been a long time since we've seen Pfeiffer throw one down. He didn't get too much playing time in the Wednesday game, kind of came out early in that one. I'd love to see him be more impactful down the stretch.
Kick to the corner, Heimlich was left on an island. The Jackets were okay with the big man shooting one from out there. Mazzio drives right to the rack, threw it up wildly, and Pfeiffer cleans it up. Christian Pfeiffer, look out! Dunks on back-to-back possessions. Lewis buries a 3 and stops the bleeding. Wilmington was hemorrhaging at that juncture. 31-23.
It's a really nice response. Need somebody to get the three-point line heated up. Was 0-4 up to that point.
Zalba with a sweet crossover, a good 30 feet from the basket. Mansfield couldn't recover. Zalba with his second bucket. Bird bobbled it, regathered, and then launched it long. Samson Elbert, former Minuteman from Revere High School. Mazzio, another one off the dribble, and the Jackets are suddenly getting to the rim with little to no resistance. They're shooting over 60% from the floor, 14 of 23, and the lead is a dozen.
Mazzio is going right by any Quaker defender that comes out and challenges him.
That was probably a good idea by Pfeiffer not to goaltend there. Instead, the late whistle came from behind the play. Apparently a foul on Wennis. Tom Heil doesn't seem to agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with him. And then that call came after Pfeiffer had the ball and made a couple moves with it.
So that puts Doty at the foul line. And the first one misses a little long.
Not only have they struggled from the field in three-point land, they have the second worst free throw percentage in the OAC at 64%. It's just going to be tough to win games when you can't hit free throws down the stretch. You need a couple of guards that teams can foul, and you can send them to the free throw line, and they can finish out games for you.
They're bottom third nationally shooting free throws. That one comes back to bite them there. Actually, I take that back. They're a little bit further down the chart than that. Bottom quartile nationally in free throw percentage. Ranked 325th out of 413 schools that play D3 men's hoops. I think that's the number these days. Let's see if we can find that out for sure. I'll confirm that for you. Seems to change year by year. Some schools are added all the time. A few are subtracted every now and again. It's 411 schools that are playing D3 basketball these days. Mazzio, good drive right down the right lane. He's got 11, 37-23. The Jackets have scored 12 baskets inside the three-point line. That is pretty unlike them. They're only 3 of 6 from behind the line. Usually this team just launches threes left and right, and they make a whole lot of them. But today it's been much more of a slash to the bucket kind of day. It's working out well. They lead by 14 late in the first half. Snyder, the step back. Not quite.
I think he heard you and wanted a three. They have two 40% three-point shooters on this team, Snyder and Mazzio.
Simmons, good active hands. That's the 7th Wilmington turnover. Jackets have turned the first 6 into 11 points. Pfeiffer wide open for three. He missed it. Simmons right back to Christian, cutting to the hoop, who gathers and scores it. 39-23 BW.
Nice hands and focus on the inside by Pfeiffer. His offensive game has slipped a little bit in the past couple of games, kind of slipped his points per game down, maybe 2 or 3 points. Got to find a way on offense.
Bird wants it. He got a hit, and he's going to the free throw line. That's a frustrating foul, but certainly the right call against Jake Snyder. Wilmington's down 16 points, but they've only taken 4 fewer shots than BW has. It's not like they haven't had as many opportunities. They're shooting a decent clip, 44%. They hit the foul shot there, but I think the biggest problem is that BW's done a really good job of converting on Wilmington's mistakes. 13 points off 7 turnovers. That's 9 more points off turnovers than Wilmington has scored off of BW's 3 giveaways. Mix in a couple of threes and you basically have the difference. One more coming from Bird. And he got it. And BW, 26 of their 39 points have come in the paint.
26-14 down there.
Mansfield wanted to force Mazzio to go left. Anthony instead threw it away. Got lucky, didn't get called for a foul. Bird couldn't handle it, so slowed up the transition. Wilmington not once, not twice, and they won't get a third look. That is incredibly frustrating. And unfortunately, Dado goes down and he's holding his left knee. Oh boy. Oh no. He's waving off the training staff. Well, I hope he's okay, and that maybe he just needs a couple of minutes to get back to himself, because Dado's had a really good start to this game. Leads the team with 8 points, 3 of 4 from the floor. He's got 4 rebounds and playing with a ton of energy right now, but that left knee really seems to be bothering him. We're also just 1:17 left in the first half, so wouldn't be surprised if they just give him a chance to kind of catch his breath here and go into the locker room, maybe try to get ready to start the second half.
Looks like he might have stepped on someone going for that rebound. Simmons and him kind of combined there with Pfeiffer when Pfeiffer pulled it down, and there was a lot of feet down there and somebody got tangled.
Well, I'm not sure why. I didn't hear the explanation, but Mazzio will inbound instead of Jackson Simmons. Zalba brings it into the forecourt. Shane's double teamed, but he gets it across. They find Mazzio backside. Well, Anthony doesn't seem to want to use his left hand very much when he dribbles. I think that's why Mansfield's trying to force him that way, but Anthony creative and crafty enough to work around it anyways. A 15-point lead. Mazzio's got 13 on 6 of 9. There's a big 3 from Bird. Actually, Mahalik, beg your pardon. Bird had checked out last dead ball. Mazzio is 5 of 8 inside the 3-point line. Snyder takes a step, pops a jump shot, and buries it. Give him 4 points. Jacket lead is 14 with the shot clock off here.
That look from Jake Snyder, you're going to see that a lot. he's going to start getting that with the way he's shooting the ball from three-point land. That up fake's going to get a lot of guys in this conference.
Well, it sure wasn't a very good start to the half for the Jackets, who were down 8-2 pretty early on. But they have closed with a fury. Mansfield's turnaround is short. Mazzio takes a couple dribbles. He won't shoot. And BW takes a 14-point lead into the locker room. Baldwin Wallace 43, Wilmington 29. Mazzio leads all scorers with 13. Pfeiffer has 6, 5 for Wennis, 4 apiece for Snyder, Zalba, and Ashton Price. Luke Driscoll's got 3. Jackson Simmons and Rob Watson each with a couple points of their own. Good first half.
Really a great first half from BW. Shot the ball 62% from the field, and a lot of that came from getting easy looks at the cup. Mazzio got to the basket at will, and the bigs have dominated. Pfeiffer had 2 powerful dunks. They lead points in the paint 28-14 as well. It's been a nice performance for the Yellow Jackets at home today.
So BW leads by 14 as we take a timeout. In less than 15 minutes, we'll bring you live streaming coverage of the second half as the Yellow Jackets try to win a 5th game in a row and look for their 7th win in their last 9 contests. Back here in just a bit. Jackets by 14 at the break on BWYellowJackets.com. Getting started with the second half here in just a moment with the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets out front of Wilmington 43-29. And unfortunately, the Quakers don't appear like they're getting good news here to start the second half. Noah Dado, who got hurt with just over a minute to go in the first half. He appeared to injure his left knee. He is over with the team on the bench at the moment. He came out of the locker room, but his left knee is wrapped in ice. And I would think that probably means his day is done. Dado leads the team right now with 8 points, and it's not even just the 8 points he had in the first half, Luke. It was the way he played. He was awfully productive in those first few minutes of the game and looked like he was going to be a matchup challenge for the Jackets.
Yeah, he was really active, and he actually got pulled out before he came back in because he had 2 fouls, and he was ready to come in and impact the game. He almost got an offensive board, almost got a putback, and then unfortunately got hurt.
Lucas Doty, the freshman guard, is taking his spot. So Wilmington's going small here with a 5-guard set to open up the second half. Doty airballs a 3 to get us started. And the Yellow Jackets, who have dominated the interior today, are going to have a fairly significant size advantage as long as they see Dado off the floor and probably don't see a ton of the 6'9 freshman Gavin Heimlich, who played sparingly there in the first half. Anthony Mazzio will shoot a couple of foul shots after the foul on Andrew Clark. How about the Jackets hit 62% in the opening 20 minutes? Mazzio clanks his first free throw, and the Jackets are 4 of 7 now from the stripe.
It's almost partially all on Wilmington's defense, the way they've been giving up easy looks at the cup.
14 for Anthony. Team's leading scorer, averaging just over 18 per night.
It's tough to get involved whenever you have Shane Zalba guarding you. He's still my pick for the OAC Defensive Player of the Year.
He's certainly got to be in consideration, man. He is a real bulldog and made life tough there on Mansfield. They called a foul. I don't blame Zalba for being a little frustrated on that decision. Looked like pretty clean defense to me.
He's been an exceptional shot blocker. Even with his size, he gets up, you saw it there, he's got some hops.
21 steals and 16 blocked shots on the season entering this afternoon's contest. Takes a lot of pride in how he plays on that end of the floor. Nothing but net on the foul shot. All right, 44-30. Snyder gets the high screen. Pfeiffer rolls but doesn't get the ball. Mazzio with a hand in his face, off target. Mansfield finds Doty in transition, who wanted to spin. Well, he eventually scored. It just didn't look pretty as he lost control of the ball on the way. Mazzio's in trouble. And then he almost threw it away, and he did throw it away. Mitchell, coast to coast. That is a sloppy sequence from the Jackets. BW still leads by 10.
Wilmington trying to set the pace in this one. They want things to be a little bit more chaotic.
Snyder for 3 in the corner, right on the money.
Great response from Snyder. Really needed that 3 after the run started for Wilmington.
That's 7 now for Jake Snyder. Mansfield wants to back down Zalba. He got him to leave his feet, beat him to the rack. The up and under missed. And Mazzio grabs the rebound.
Even out of position there, Zalba made that a tough shot. He was a step behind Mansfield and kind of gained some ground with that contest.
Anthony with a great spin through the lane. Mazzio scores 49-34.
He's really been a tornado down there with the way he's been spinning 3 or 4 spin looks at the basket and just easy looks for Mazzio. 7 for 11.
Good, tight, clean, quick spin move. Mihalik up top. Mansfield goes baseline into trouble. The referee says no foul. Jeffrey scores it.
There was a lot of contact there. Pfeiffer looked like he went straight up, but I felt that he brought down his hands just a little bit.
That was a funky looking pass, although it was on target.
And it found an open man. Wennis was wide open under the basket.
You don't usually see someone start a bounce pass over the top of their head, but Snyder threaded the needle. I think maybe it caught his teammate a bit off guard. Wennis couldn't handle it. 13-point game.
Mansfield really trying to get aggressive now.
Almost lost his pivot foot. Bryce Bird not quite. Snyder uncontested rebound. Pfeiffer posting up Mansfield. Christian catches. Boy, there was literally nobody pestering the shot, and he just missed a bunny. Ashton Price about to come in. This is a kick out. Yeah, it sure was. Kick out to Bird. Doty drives baseline. He got fouled. Count it, and one.
Got to continue on throughout that whole possession. You need a full focus 40 minutes of basketball to win any game in this league. And Wennis really did a nice job on the dribble drive in the first part of that possession, but kind of lost himself in the last 10 seconds of that shot clock.
Well, Wilmington's been a little bit better than BW here in the second half. It's 49-38 at the moment. Can't complete the three-point play. Wilmington's leaving shots out there. The Jackets have been playing for 25 minutes, and they're still shooting over 60%. Snyder in rhythm. Straight on, but off the back of the rim. Rebound for Doty.
A really nice box out by him on that.
Great defense and a really late whistle. Boy, oh boy. I'm not sure where the foul was, unless the whistle just wasn't blown until so far after the fact there. Typically, you see the whistle blown when contact is made. Zalba had already hit the floor when he got called for the foul.
And that's his third personal.
6'9" Heimlich coming back in. Pfeiffer and Wennis will battle with him. Doty checks out. Wilmington has a little bit going for them right now. Jackets had to check Zalba off the floor. Price and Driscoll out there with Snyder, Wennis, and Pfeiffer. Second chance, clean it up. Heimlich scores it. And now it's an 8-point game, 49-41. How can the Jackets handle some of this frustration? Mansfield closes down quickly. Underneath, Pfeiffer, you bet! And the foul!
When you see somebody who's not as experienced as you down low, Heimlich not as experienced as Pfeiffer down there, he's got to take advantage of him. Gets him to draw the contact there, and Pfeiffer at the free throw line.
Christian Pfeiffer from the stripe. Hits the first on the season. It's been kind of hit or miss. 16 of 24 now on the year from the line. So he's basically 2 out of 3. Jackets as a team, that's an area they could use some improvement. Wennis and Snyder and Price have all been good from the stripe, but Mazio under 70% from the free throw line. Rob Watson has shot a bunch of free throws, and he's just over 60%. Jackets lead by 9. BW looking for a 5th straight win and trying to win for the 7th time in their last 9 games as Ashton Price buries a 3. That's his 2nd of the game.
2 for 2.
55-43. Good little move inside. Wilmington gets a couple closer. Jaden Lewis with the right hand. Give him 6.
Learned a little bit from Mazio with that spin move.
Price wants to drive. Mitchell making it tough. Price scored anyways. Ashton Price is having a good week. Played well against John Carroll on Wednesday, and a nice performance so far this afternoon.
Really nice job of figuring out how to beat that double team. He had a quick decision, went straight up over him.
That's an offensive foul every day of the week. Bryce Bird extends the forearm. That was an easy call for the official. 12-point lead for the Jackets, 57-45. Nick Malagreca coming in for the first time out of Bishop Watterson High School in Columbus. Driscoll saved it. Thinks he's got room to get it off, slips it up there, no. Simmons grabs the miss, and then he got hammered. How about the effort from Jackson Simmons?
And that's exactly what Coach Heil was talking to me about in that post-game interview. He's got glue on his hands when he's going up for those rebounds. It really showed there.
First foul on the recently entered Malagreca. Price up top. Driscoll. Turns around and finds enough of an opening to slip in a layup. 59-45, Price steals it away. Good behind the back dribble, and he got fouled running up the floor. Really well done.
Of the CBW protecting the basketball as this pace has continued to tick up. Only 6 turnovers on the night so far. Got to keep that moving forward.
Wennis grabs the inbound, hands it back to the point guard Price. Couple of ball fakes. Driscoll gets it back at the rack. And to the strike. Malagreca picks up his 2nd in a fairly short time frame. Again, Noah Dado on the bench at the moment. It looks like he's taken the ice off his left knee. He's up and walking around as though he's trying to figure out if he can get back out on the floor. Driscoll hits the first foul shot. By the way, the biggest game in the conference this afternoon. I know Otterbein and Capital are bitter rivals. They're playing tonight, but in terms of conference standings and OAC championship aspirations, Mount Union and Heidelberg's matchup in Tiffin right now is awfully important. Purple Raiders lead it 42-20 at halftime. They are blowing out Heidelberg. John Carroll 60, Muskingum 44. Early second half in Ada, 6th-ranked Marietta Pioneers are up 40-28 on Ohio Northern. Jackets lead this one by 16. With that big 3-game stretch coming. Price just off the mark. Almost stole it away. Lewis raises from the moon. Not quite. Watson on the pick and roll. Finds himself open and converts it.
What a pass by Snyder. Barely rolled into the hands of Watson. The Quaker might have got a fingertip on that one.
Timeout, Wilmington. A full timeout. They had gotten it down to 8. The Yellow Jackets have stretched it back to 18. 63-45. We've played 29 minutes and the Jackets are still shooting 61%. They've only attempted 13 threes. That's well below their season average by this point of the game. The Jackets are 20 of 28 inside the three-point line. That's pretty darn impressive.
Really is. I mean, they've been playing so well down there. And one of those guys, Jackson Simmons, 7 rebounds off the bench. He's been going and getting it off the glass. If you look at the total rebounds, BW up by 5 right now, and a big reason why is Jackson Simmons. Mazzio still having a great game, though. He's been every bit of what he's shown this season offensively. He's just been able to get to the cup too easy tonight. That's why BW's been so efficient offensively. Wilmington wants to find a way to get back in the last 10 minutes. Mansfield has to play some good basketball. He really hasn't played too great so far. He's been attacking the basket, but he really hasn't gotten his teammates open too much. Only 2 assists on the game so far. I think if he plays better and they play better defensively at the cup, they might have a chance. But right now, BW looking good.
Tom Heil's Baldwin Wallace teams are always tough on both ends of the floor. They're a tough outcome tournament time. They have made it at least to the OAC semifinals in all but 1 year that he's been the head coach. It's now his 7th season. Of course, there was no OAC tournament last year for the Yellow Jackets when they unfortunately had to bow out because COVID ended their season. Price commits the foul there as Mansfield goes to the line. Semifinalists in Heil's first season. That second year, they went all the way to the tournament championship down at Marietta before losing to the Pioneers. Mansfield hits. Lost in the semifinals the following season in 2017-2018. Losing at John Carroll that year. Blue Streaks went on to win the OAC title at home against Ohio Northern. And the Jackets won the conference tournament 3 seasons ago. 2 years ago was that only year they lost in the OAC quarterfinals. And you never really know what's going to happen come tournament time, but starting to see that maybe this team could really be a tough matchup in the OAC tournament. Wow, a foul on Heimlich leaves the Wilmington fans upset. Jackson Simmons felt like he was interfered with.
And before that, Ashton Price limped out of the game. It looked like he was nursing that left ankle. Or right ankle, excuse me.
Snyder, Driscoll, Mazzio, Simmons, and Watson for BW. Jackets lead by 15 here. Jackson hits the first of his 2 foul shots. It's 1 and 1. That was the 7th foul on Wilmington. Jackets have 4, so still in good shape there. Jackson missed a second.
Mansfield, after that last layup and the and one, really pumped up. He's still passionate about this one. He's still fighting. And Wilmington trying to stick around.
It's a good look from Mahalik, but just couldn't find the bottom of the net. He's had kind of a frustrating day. Got a couple open shots that he hasn't knocked down. Watson way too high off the window, but Simmons timed the follow perfectly. He caught it and laid it over the front of the rim. 66-48. Mansfield with a good ball fake into the right corner. I thought Doty's 3 had a good chance, but clanked away. Mazio thought better about driving against the 6'9" Heimlich, who was standing in the paint. Now Watson will bang around with him. Heimlich called for the foul.
Watson all season has done a great job of getting to the free throw line. Some of his drives look a little bit out of control, but that's because he's bringing that extra effort behind it, and sometimes he takes the contact table to finish. Here he gets to the free throw line at least with a chance to put up 2 free throws.
Watson connects. Couple of changes there with Mitchell and Clark, and Lewis all coming back on. Simmons poked it free, diving forward in the backcourt. Now the foul called on Simmons. Both guys are allowed to dive for the ball there, but Simmons essentially tackled the Quaker in the backcourt. The referees are discussing where that inbound should come, and it will be in front of BW's bench. That's the 5th BW foul.
That's just a gritty play by Jackson Simmons, throwing his body on the line there. He's the type of guy that you want around a championship environment.
Mansfield rejected at the rim. Driscoll over to Zelba. Watson double teamed and turns it over. Nicely stolen away by Mitchell. He avoided most of the contact, but not enough of it. Jackson Simmons called for the foul. I also think I just saw the grossest thing I've seen in a while. Jackson Simmons lost his bubble gum, fell on the floor. He picked it up. After a few seconds, he put it back in his mouth. I am out on that. Ugh. 67-48.
At least he's playing well.
Both foul shots are good. That's enough to give you the willies. Jackson almost mistakenly turned it over.
That was great patience by Mazio, breaking that press, waiting for Jackson Simmons to get to the middle and break that thing open.
Zalba threw it towards Simmons, was bobbled, kicked in transition. Watson rejects it from behind. Wilmington gets it back. Nicely done by Doty. Finished it up.
Watson was going for another block. I feel like he could have been in there and just stood straight up, maybe making a more difficult shot.
Tom Hio wants a timeout, and he is hot. BW way too careless, giving away the basketball there in those pressure situations.
You really got to stay patient when they're bringing the press. The clock is your friend, and you really don't have to get it over that fast in college basketball. And, you know, you've really been doing a nice job of passing the basketball, so just have confidence. That's one of the keys I put down to this game. They didn't hesitate against John Carroll when they played them. That's part of the reason why they played so well offensively. And I feel like they need to continue that. They need to continue playing with confidence.
We'll take a quick timeout. Jackets lead it by 16 here at BW. 67-51. Baldwin Wallace has led basically ever since the 15-minute mark of the first half. And they've led by quite a big margin, a good chunk of the way. Wilmington turns it over there. Let's see, the Jackets have led, I think, by as many as 19. I don't believe it has gotten quite to 20. Looking back through the live stats here, they had a 19-point lead when it was 67-48. That's their largest lead of the game. Of course, just 3 points ago. Jake Snyder, Rob Watson, Drew Wennis, Shane Zalba, Anthony Mazzio for BW. And Snyder looking for Watson on the give and go. He stopped, and Mazzio couldn't catch up to it. I would imagine that last time out was more about breaking the press than it was anything Jackets have done offensively, though.
Yeah, I agree with you. They really struggled with the press on those last 2 possessions and kind of added up the turnovers number. Last time I talked about the turnovers number was at the beginning of this second half, and they've added 4 since then. So got to protect the basketball, and Tom Heil really kind of getting into his guys, really frustrated at that timeout.
Mazzio commits his third. And so that puts Wilmington in the bonus. The Jackets commit 3 fouls here in a fairly brief stretch. They were just at 4 a couple of minutes ago. And now 1-1 for Wilmington the rest of the way. Updates from elsewhere around the league. John Carroll 76, Muskingum 62. They're under 7 to play. Mount Union early in the second half, 54-28 over Heidelberg. Marietta still double digits ahead of Ohio Northern, 55-42. They've got 12:20 to go. Otterbein and Capital later tonight. Zalba playing with 3 fouls, throws a long pass into the forecourt where Wennis is able to control it. Boy, Wilmington is about as aggressive as they can be right now defensively, and Mazzio handles it with a nice reverse layup. He's right around his season average now with 18 points this evening.
He's certainly getting it efficiently. 8 for 12.
Andrew Clark heading to the foul line. Dribbles for Clark. Misfires. Price comes back in. Zalba sits down. Wilmington snapped an 8-game losing streak with back-to-back wins over Muskingum and John Carroll about a week and a half and 2 weeks ago, and then followed that up with a loss at Otterbein. Tight game this past Wednesday, lost just by 3. Wennis can't finish right on top of the rim. Watson couldn't bring in the rebound. And Wilmington in a little 4-on-4. Nice spin move right down the middle of the floor. Jaden Lewis scores. Price up ahead to Watson, who dribbles and got hammered. He would have been better off not dribbling.
You're right, partner. I think he would have been better off just putting it down with 2 hands.
Or even if he couldn't dunk it, maybe if he didn't have total control, he could have just laid it in. That was a little disappointing, but that's okay. Watson has a chance to work on that free throw percentage here. Christian Pfeiffer will take his place in a minute.
Good to see Ashton Price check in after he limped out of the game earlier. Really had a good week, and playing in this type of minutes, it's good for him.
Watson missed them both. Jacket lead is 13, 6.5 to play. Bird connects on a 3-ball. Down to a 10-point game. A lot of hoop to play still. Snyder goes to his strong hand. Back up top, Mazzio. Tried to jump stop. Could argue that he traveled on his way through the lane. The Wilmington fans have been pretty ticked off most of the afternoon, and of course they were vocal over that no call. But Mazzio's going to the free throw line.
Just his second trip to the free throw line today. Made 1 out of 2 on his first trip.
Pfeiffer returns for Watson. BW still at 60% from the floor. We've got 6 minutes left to go in the game. It's been a good offensive day. They're 22 of 32 inside the three-point line. If you've watched any Baldwin Wallace basketball over the years, those are not a typical ratio of two-pointers to overall shots taken that we're used to seeing. BW 5 of 13 from deep. Getting a lot of good high percentage looks. Price made the basket, but he stepped out of bounds. So it's back to Wilmington. That's frustrating. Mitchell checks out. Heimlich back in there.
That would have put Price in double digits, and he would have been 3 for 4 from downtown.
Doty slips it past Pfeiffer's extended arm, and Wilmington called a quick timeout. Quakers are hanging around. They usually do. It's a tough team to beat. 71-61. They play good defense, and they have forced BW into a handful of uncharacteristic errors here in this second half. We'll step aside quickly. Back in just a second. Jackets by 10. Back on the floor with BW ahead by 10 points. Good pressure on Mazzio on the backcourt, but the Jackets got through it okay. They've handled it mostly okay, but it hasn't been perfect. Boy, Pfeiffer with rockets on his hands from nearby the basket, chucked one up there. Bryce Bird with a good crossover, but couldn't create his own shot fast enough. Back up top, Bird is wide open. He bricked it, missed everything left. Mazzio all the way to the rim for 2. 22 for Anthony.
They need to adjust to the way they guard him.
Bird, another 3 ball. That time it's good. Nine-point lead with 4:10 to go. From the left-hand side, there's a 3. Jake Snyder, buckets. Timeout, BW. Well, you know Anthony Mazzio has some pretty impressive high-end capability. In the first 3 games of the year, twice he went over 40 points. 45 against Hiram, and then 44 against Hamilton the next time out. In those 2 games combined, he was 15 for 23 from behind the three-point line, 32 of 53 from the floor, but he has also at least gone over 20 on 3 other occasions since then. 24 against Trine, he had 23 against Marietta, 22 against John Carroll. If you haven't figured it out, this kid likes to play in big spotlight moments. The former Polar Bear from Massillon Jackson having another good performance this afternoon.
Yeah, I really thought he improved from sophomore season to junior season. And when I talked to Coach Heil in the preseason, he was just raving about how much he has been putting in the work. And you can really see how it's paid off. He did not used to be able to get to the cup he has the way he has tonight back in his sophomore and freshman seasons. He is just getting to the basket at will, and Wilmington has had no answer. He's been able to put them away so far.
I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I am very confident that the 45-point performance from Mazzio was the first of its kind since Cam Kuhn dropped, I think it was 55 against Mount Union several years ago on the road. That sat on the rim and spun off. How did that not drop for Mansfield? Cam Kuhn was one heck of a shooter, man. That kid was unbelievable. Part of that first group that Tom Heil recruited here to BW. Part of a pretty special class of guys. Cam was one of the all-time great Baldwin Wallace three-point specialists, but he had so much more to his game than just that. Finished his career 2018 as the 4th leading scorer in program history behind Hall of Famers Torrey Davis, Dean Martin, and Thad Davis. Cam had 1,881 career points. Anthony Mazzio, we'll find out if he's got that kind of long-term trajectory, but his stats over the years have been pretty darn impressive.
It'll be interesting to see how much of his eligibility he chooses to use, considering he got a year back from COVID. Could maybe see him in a 5th year as a jacket, depending on if he wants to compete.
Mansfield, not even close. 12-point game with 3 minutes to play. From the left corner, Wennis, too short. He races back to make this tougher on Mansfield. And Jeffrey scores anyways. 10-point lead. Snyder. That's 16 now for Mansfield. 4 Wilmington players in double figures. Mazzio's layup sat on the rim and missed. Bird's got 11. Lewis and Doty both have 10. Noah Dado had 8 early points, but he has not played in the second half, and his left knee is now re-wrapped in ice. Went down the final minute of the first half. Good fake by Lewis, drives to the basket, and with 2 on the shot clock, drew the foul. Well, free throws are going to become important here. Wilmington has hit 14 of 21. Jackets 12 of 19 from the free throw line. Both teams have taken a whole bunch of them in the second half. Of the 40 free throws that have already been taken, only 13 of them came before halftime. Add to it here with that first make from Jaden Lewis. Andrew Clark replaces Doty.
It's a great job by Pfeiffer of staying out of foul trouble early in this game, because if you would have been in foul trouble, Watson has 2 and Simmons has 3. It makes it a lot harder on a guy not to foul in.
Zalba got fouled as he came into the forecourt.
It's been one of the more interesting things about this team and how Coach Heil manages it, with the 2 backup centers, or backup bigs, I should say, because Simmons is more of a 4 than he is a 5, and Rob Watson, really nice shot blocking. So he's been spinning those guys in and out and spinning Pfeiffer in and out, and I felt they've done a really nice job of spinning those bigs in, even though they're so limited there.
Driscoll in for Pfeiffer. The Jackets are going small here with 2 minutes to play.
And Wennis has been that 4. He's the guy that's staying in a lot of the time, not cycling out. And he's done a nice job tonight of not fouling as well.
Got to make your free throws. That's going to make closing a game more difficult. Snyder picks that one up, though. Minute 42 to go.
Definitely do not want to foul here if you're Wilmington.
Wilmington needed to find a way to get the ball. Instead, Zulba misses his 3. Mazzio only loosely tried to grab that rebound. Here comes Travis Mitchell flying to the basket. That was pretty out of control. 9-point game with just over a minute to play. We'll see if Wilmington tries to force BW to make some foul shots. That's not going to happen. Instead, Mazzio with a missed 3 that basically turned into a pass. And Driscoll scores. Jackets call a 30-second timeout with 1:06 to play and an 11-point lead.
This Wilmington team hung around against a strong Otterbein team, and closing them out by double digits here would be a really great result. They only lost to Otterbein by 3 points.
John Carroll 87, Muskingum 74. PJ Flannery with 20, Jackson Sartain with 18 for the Blue Streaks in that game. Mount Union just railroading Heidelberg 69-39. 4 Purple Raiders in double figures. And Marietta still leads Ohio Northern 65-51. There's 6:19 left in that game. Pioneers led by Lucas Isley, who's got 14. Adam Scott pacing Ohio Northern, he's got 17 today.
Isley and Ellis, so good for the Pioneers.
And Tim Krieger. All 3 of those guys are really, really good players. Mansfield, a couple head fakes. He's just bullying his way into the paint. Got enough contact on Mazzio to draw the foul, so 2 foul shots coming for Mansfield with 55 seconds to go.
He's getting to the foul line a little bit here late, but throughout this game, really did a nice job of limiting him. He's 6 of 15 field goal wise.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, he's gotten his points, right? But it hasn't been easy. He's had to work really hard for them, and he's missed more often than he's made.
If it wasn't for those Bryce Bird couple of threes, this game in the scoreboard wouldn't even be close.
Mansfield's got 17 after the first foul shot. Give him 18. 3-possession game. Price fouled. So it does look like Wilmington's going to try to extend this game as best they can. It's up to Price to try to knock down from the line.
In Wilmington being shorthanded, not having guys that are big-time scorers for you, you're missing a double-digit potential scorer, and to have 4 scores in double digits, it's got to be something that you can look at as positive.
Zalba back in for Pfeiffer. Price gets it back to a 4-possession game. Now Price out, Driscoll back on.
Price going to finish.
Hollick for Clark.
Price going to finish with double-digit points for him. Let me check to see if that's the first time of his career.
Mansfield was tripped going down the right side of the lane, and so he'll go back to the stripe. 81-71. Tom Heil doing offense for defense on the subs. So Zalba comes out, Pfeiffer back in.
Check that, his second time in double figures. He scored 13 at Wilmington in 20 minutes of play in that game.
Big free throw coming for Mansfield to cut it to 8. Still a long shot for the Quakers, but they're alive. 8 points is as close as they've been the entire second half. Bryce got fouled in the backcourt. Haven't been that close since 49-41. Last time they were down fewer than 8 points, it was 27-20 with 6 minutes left in the first half. Ashton misses another foul shot. Well, the drama intensifying a little bit because the Jackets, frankly, have stunk from the line tonight. They're barely 50%. 82-73. Mansfield misses right at the rim, and then BW bobbles it out of bounds. Jackets are 14 of 25 from the free throw line, but they're 31 of 54 from the field. Go figure. Three ball from Jaden Lewis off the heel of the rim. Bryce Bird got it back. Timeout Wilmington. 25 seconds to play, and we could have a lengthy 25 seconds because both teams still have timeouts at their discretion. 1 left for Wilmington, 2 left for the Jackets. Both teams are in the double bonus.
Yeah, with the way the Jackets are shooting the free throws tonight, I am content playing this foul game all night long. You just can't put on tape that you're a 56% free throw shooting team in a game, especially with the way they've gotten to the basket tonight.
Well, a win for BW would be their 5th in a row, but Wilmington certainly isn't making it easy on them. The Jackets try to sweep the Wilmington Quakers in the regular season for the 5th time in the last 7 years now. All right, out of the huddle they come. Baseline inbound. Mansfield, Lewis, Mahalik, Doty, and Bird for Wilmington, 5 guards. Jackets with Drew Wennis out there, but otherwise 4 guards. Mahalik, gosh, it was a great look. Mansfield fouled underneath. Wow, the foul was called on Mansfield. So the Jackets will have foul shots. I thought it was Mansfield that was going to shoot. They said Mansfield actually held down the arm of one of the Jacket players. So Mazzio goes to the free throw line with 21 seconds to go. Gymnasium falls quiet when Anthony goes to the free throw line. He splits the pair. Clock is running. Jackets lead by 10. You might as well just let Wilmington score. Mazzio eventually fouled. He was triple teamed. It's back down to 8. Well, the lightning-fast first half we had was no precursor for what the second half was going to hold. This has been a foul-heavy, whistle-heavy, timeout-heavy second half. That's okay. Mazzio trying to ice this. And after hitting both, it's now 10 points with 13 seconds to play. That's going to be pretty tough for Wilmington to overcome. Doty launches. It's off the front of the rim. Wennis, and a jump ball called with 3.7, sends it BW's direction. We'll have it on the baseline. And Wilmington backs off. So quick inbound, and that'll do it. Baldwin Wallace with an 85-75 win. Despite the fact the game didn't really start particularly well for them, it was not a very clean beginning of the game. The Jackets fell behind 8-2 pretty quickly, but they played really well the rest of the first half. Took a 14-point lead into the locker room. Wilmington put up a good fight in the second half, but the Jackets ended up with a 10-point win. 57% from the floor, pretty good day for the Jackets offensively.
Yeah, they really got the looks that they wanted. And most of the time it was Mazzio driving the basket and finding somebody open, coming to the basket, or taking it up himself. And a really great game from him all around. 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. And he shot at 9 for 15 from the field. If he can keep bringing those reliable performances, you can count on this team to make it far come playoff time. And Ashton Price, talk about a performance from him. 2 points away from tying his career high. A great game off the bench. And overall, just a really nice job of taking the right shots tonight. And on the defensive end, you hold the team to 43% shooting the basketball, and you grab 11 of their turnovers. So really a great job inside. Also came up and won the rebound battle and the points in the paint battle. So a great win for you guys, a great win for BW tonight. I think they got to keep it rolling forward, playing against Heidelberg on Wednesday, and then going into that doubleheader on Saturday. They have to keep the confidence from the John Carroll win going into that type of contest.
5 straight wins now for the Jackets, and 7 of their last 9 as BW improves to 11-4 on the season. Wilmington falls to 4-12. They're 0-6 on the road and now just 2-8 in conference play. Good luck to Noah Dado the rest of the way as well. Hope his apparent left knee injury is not terribly serious. Wishing him well. Again, the final score tonight, 85-75. The women's game earlier, BW beat Wilmington 61-30. For Luke Schradel and our entire athletic communications crew at BW, I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for joining us and spending some time with us here on Saturday afternoon. A pair of Yellow Jacket wins. It's a great Saturday in Berea. We'll see you again on Wednesday when the Yellow Jackets and Heidelberg will battle out here on the hard court. You've been watching OAC men's and women's basketball today on BWYellowJackets.com. Have a great night, everybody.